Coming up on 5-Minute News. Bill to boost US chipmakers passed in Congress. Appalachia flooding kills at least 8 in Kentucky. And Russia attacks Ukraine's capital for the first time in weeks. It's Friday, July 29. I'm Anthony Davis. The US House of Representatives passed sweeping legislation on Thursday to subsidize the domestic semiconductor industry as it competes with Chinese and other foreign manufacturers, a victory for President Joe Biden and his fellow Democrats, hoping to keep their slim majority in Congress in the November midterm elections. The final vote was 243 to 187. 24 Republicans joined 218 Democrats in backing the measure. Passage now sends the bill to the White House, where Biden is expected to sign it into law as soon as early next week. The Senate passed the Chips and Science Act with bipartisan support on Wednesday, after more than a year of effort. A rare major foray into U.S. industrial policy, the bill provides about $52 billion in government subsidies for U.S. production of semiconductors used in everything from automobiles and high-tech weaponry to electronic devices and video games. It also includes an investment tax credit for chip plants, estimated to be worth $24 billion. The bill passed hours after Biden had a telephone call with Chinese President Xi Jinping, in which Xi warned Biden against playing with fire over Taiwan. Aides had said the leaders of the world's 2 largest economies also would discuss supply chain and other economic issues. China had lobbied against the semiconductor bill. The Chinese embassy in Washington said China firmly opposed it, calling it reminiscent of a Cold War mentality and counter to the common aspiration of people in both countries. Climate change caused torrential rains to unleash devastating floods in Appalachia on Thursday, as fast-rising water killed at least 8 people in Kentucky and sent people scurrying to rooftops to be rescued. Water gushed from hillsides and flooded out of stream beds, inundating homes, businesses and roads throughout eastern Kentucky. Parts of western Virginia and southern West Virginia also saw extensive flooding. Rescue crews used helicopters and boats to pick up people trapped by the floodwaters. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear tweeted on Thursday evening that the state's death toll from flooding had risen to 8. He asked for continued prayers for the region, which was bracing for more rain. Beshear warned that property damage in Kentucky would be widespread. The governor said officials were setting up a site for donations that would go to residents affected by the flooding. Dangerous conditions and continued rainfall hampered rescue efforts on Thursday, the governor said. "We've got a lot of people that need help that we can't get to at the moment," he said. Flash flooding and mudslides were reported across the mountainous region of eastern Kentucky, western Virginia and southern West Virginia, with more rain expected in the area. The National Weather Service said additional flooding was possible. Power Outage US reported more than 31,000 customers without electricity, with the bulk of the outages in Kentucky. The storms hit an Appalachian mountain region where communities and homes are perched on steep hillsides or set deep in the hollows between them, where cracks and streams can rise in a hurry. Roads in many areas weren't passable after as much as 6 inches of rain had fallen in some areas by Thursday. Beshear said he had deployed National Guard soldiers to the hardest-hit areas, and 3 parks in the region were opened as shelters for displaced people. Russian forces launched a missile attack on the Kiev area for the first time in weeks on Thursday and pounded the northern Chernihiv region as well, in what Ukraine said was revenge for standing up to the Kremlin. Ukrainian officials, meanwhile, announced a counter-offensive to take back the occupied Kherson region in the country's south, territory seized by Russian President Vladimir Putin's forces early in the war. Russia attacked the Kiev region with 6 missiles launched from the Black Sea, which ruined one building and damaged 2 others, and that Ukrainian forces shot down one of the missiles in the town of Bucha. 15 people were wounded in the Russian strikes, 5 of them civilians. The assaults were linked to the Day of Statehood, a commemoration that President Volodymyr Zelensky instituted last year, and Ukraine marked for the first time yesterday. Russian troops withdrew from the Kiev and Chernihiv regions months ago after failing to capture either. Kharkiv, Ukraine's second-largest city, also came under a barrage of shelling overnight, according to the mayor. Authorities said a police officer was killed in the Russian shelling of a power plant in the Kharkiv region. You can subscribe to 5 Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5 Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.